You can hear my defroster rattling away because mice nest in there, and there's acorns and stuff sometimes rolling around. We were going to take the vehicles down the mountain yesterday, but it hadn't started snowing yet, and at 9 p.m. it wasn't snowing yet, so we said we'll do it in the morning, but now kind of second guessing that. Lori's driving the green Jeep ahead of me and making tire tracks for this one to follow, but a snowmobile was just coming up the road, and he said that there's some trees down, but I've got the chainsaw, we'll get that taken care of. Our friends that have a camp up above us are up for the weekend too, so we're opening the road for them as well. It's exciting, you know, you can do this kind of thing and piss and moan about being inconvenienced with trees in the road, and always have the dangers of being stuck and stuff like that, but really, in all, it makes it exciting. Well, it never fails. If we get heavy wet snow or freezing rain and wind, and sometimes just the wind alone, we'll find trees across the road. We get no road maintenance here on the mountain, so when we need to go to town, we need to go prepared. But I'd rather be held up with things like this than stuck in traffic any day. Alrighty, we got the trees out of the way, got out okay, and now we're heading back up the mountain. You gotta admit, it's a pretty drive home, huh? Yeah. Not a neighborhood street, no traffic, no lights, no anything. Just gotta deal with being snowed in or snowed out. But this is starting to turn over to like a freezing rain right now. And then it's supposed to turn into all rain. So there's gonna be a lot of mush, which is gonna end up turning into ice. But that's okay. We got chains, we got everything we need. Yeah. Back up the mountain we go, man. We're heading back up and we got a tree across the road already. We just came through here. The only thing is, this is the icy slope. It's all ice under this. So once I start taking off, I might churn. I might have to back down. I'll get that tree out.
This is actually pretty deep. It's almost to the top of my boot there. Okay, there we go.
Spoke too soon. Uh-oh. My truck just quit.
Huh.
Well, everything was going good. We got down, got the red Jeep out. We're almost back to the camp. I can see the camp right there. Coming up this last incline, the Jeep just quit. Just quit, just as if I turned the key off. And it turns over, but it won't fire. I don't know, maybe the fuel pump, maybe the fuel filter. There is gas in it. So luckily my black truck is up here, and I'll try and pull this up with that, but it's all ice under the snow, so I don't know. Well, we got to try. I can't leave it right here. Always something. I got the Chevy fired up. My first thoughts were to pull the disabled Jeep uphill to the camp. But I gotta admit, I had my doubts about that. Beneath the snow is ice. The mountain is covered with it. And it didn't take me long to realize I needed to explore other options. So instead of taking the time to strap on tire chains to come up the hill, we'll take the path of least resistance and roll the Jeep backwards to the parking spot down below. I packed down the trail with the Ranger first. Heading downhill will be easier anyway. It's like I say, when life throws you to shit, you just gotta roll with it. So that's what we'll do.
You're looking good. Stay right the way you are.
Now I need the Jeep to be a bit more perpendicular to the road before I can hook a chain to it and drag it out of here. This come-along is just a ticket for the task. I don't know what we'd do without it. Good come-along. It's a must-have for living out here. Well, we left the Jeep down at the bottom of the hill overnight. I talked to some friends, got some advice. I called my friend Tom in Maine, who's a mechanic. He told me a bunch of different things to look for, things to try. I tried them all. Pretty much found out that the fuel pump is working. I have power, the engine turns over, everything like that. I tried spraying some ether into the air intake. It still wouldn't fire. So it appears that the Jeep has lost the spark somewhere. It's probably just a wire come loose somewhere, some simple little fix. I don't have the know-how with this stuff. I'm not a mechanic. As I said before, me and nuts and bolts don't get along. If it isn't made out of wood, I'm pretty much useless. But I do try to fix a few things. Like the brake line, my buddy Mark told me what to do over the phone, and I got it done, man. I was pretty proud of myself with that. But like Lori says, we fix what we can, but we know when to call the man. So we called the man. And we're gonna hook onto that Jeep, drag it down the mountain, and a tow truck's gonna take it away. Hey, I'm insured for towing, won't cost me anything there, and we'll get the Jeep fixed, and that'll be that. Yeah. So I bungee corded a tire to the bumper to act as a bumper in case this starts going too fast. I don't know. All right, we have a slight downgrade right here, and then the crest of the hill there, and then it's down from there, and it's going to continue to go down, and it's going to get steep. And that is where we will pick up speed. So I don't know how much brake I will have in the green Jeep. I had a little bit when I was backing down the hill, but I don't know. Well, we're gonna find out. All right, folks, we're really starting to decline now. And then down there, that's where it drops off. So far, so good. There's Mama back there. Yeah, I gotta say, Mama was nervous about driving either one of these vehicles because we're just on snowpack, and she's not used to driving the truck with the plow on it, and we're on a narrow track right now, and she wasn't really wild about driving the Jeep with no power steering and limited brakes going down the mountain. But you gotta hand it to her, man. She's handling it, doing it like a champ. She doesn't even have to do it in a bikini like all of the modern homesteaders do. Yeah, something to be said about that. Let's hope my brake job holds out, because otherwise we'll both be in trouble. That's it. See how easy that was? In my past videos, when I was talking about putting the solar panels on the roof, a lot of people said that I was foolish, you know. Like, why would you make it so hard? Why would it's going to be so hard to get up there and clean it off and everything. And it's like, no, it's not going to be. I'm just going to get an extension pole and clean them off from the ground. It's actually way easier than I thought it would be. And my broom is the exact width of the solar panels. Imagine that, huh? So, I mean, they're right there. And they're out of my way down here. My tractor, my quad, I get in here to garden, anything. They're not in my way. And this is the sunniest spot on my property. When they were down here on the ground, they would be in the shade when the sun was hitting the roof. So this was the sunniest spot to put them. That's why they went there. And it's great. A piece of cake. Clean this off. That is it, man. Woo. Done. I love it. Water boy. You helping, Kilby? You don't know? You don't know? No, her. I have this tank set up in the corner here. This is a tank from an old camper. When it was in the camper, it was underneath one of the seats, and it was in there horizontally. And I cut one end off of it and put it vertically here. I was hoping that it would give like more water pressure, you know, from the weight of the water. Whether it makes a difference or not, I don't know. But regardless, it works, and it gives us running water downstairs. It takes me 2 seconds to carry these up the stairs, as you saw. It would take me a lot longer to pump it upstairs, plus it would eat power, whether I'd be running a generator or taking it from the battery bank. But like I said, 2 seconds of manpower to bring it upstairs. It's not hard to do. And I dump it in there. And this will never fail, unless one of my connections spring a leak. But so far so good. But it'll never fail. It doesn't need power, you know, gravity will never fail you, man. Yeah. So now we have running water downstairs. Come on, Tilda. Well, folks, it's been a while since I've done a Q&A, and the questions are stacking up. But since I did that video last weekend about the greenhouse, I have had a ton of questions about the greenhouse. I told everyone I would answer them in my next vlog, so that's what I'm going to do. I have a list right here of greenhouse questions. All right? People see how much happiness it gives me, so they want to get in on it, and I can't blame you. All right, so let's get to it. I have like a cluster of questions here. How big is the greenhouse? Do you have a weed barrier in the floor? Do you have problems with weeds, etc., etc., etc.? The greenhouse is 12 by 16. That is an adequate size for growing what we need to grow, for starting all the plants and having some permanent raised beds inside. You saw the big garden that we had out here. We had tons of vegetables, and all of that garden was started from seeds in this 12 by 16 greenhouse. Yeah. And we never till the compost into the soil. We never till our garden. So 12 by 16 is a really good size. We don't have any weed barrier in the floor. I don't have any troubles with weeds in the floor. The floor is pretty deep with crushed gravel. If anything starts growing, I just pull it right out. I think in the future, I may put down some like little pea stone or stone dust or something. I think it would look nicer in there. But this has been great. No problems with weeds. The gravel floor is great. You water plants, water goes all over the place. It just perks and goes away. All right. Do I have any plans for having water collection? Now, I did have a gutter up there. I didn't plumb it into my drums inside, but I planned to. I took the gutter down for the winter because it's just going to get ripped down. I have two 55-gallon drums inside, which gives me 110 gallons of water. Since I don't have a gutter up right now, if it's raining, a rainy winter day, I just put out some buckets, and as they fill, I dump them into my barrels. Very simple, and it works. All right. If I were to build another greenhouse, what would I do differently? Really, the only thing I would do differently is I would make it a bit bigger. Like I said, the 12 by 16 is adequate for growing what we want to grow, but I would like more of a sitting area in there. Going in there on a winter day is like a summer vacation. It gives us a tremendous amount of joy. So I would like an area to set up 4 comfortable chairs over by the wood stove. Maybe have a wood stove that you could open up and enjoy like a fireplace, or maybe hang a hammock or 2. So that's what I would do differently. When we build at the next cabin, we are going to be on the right side of the mountain. Here, we're on the wrong side of the mountain for southern exposure. The other one is going to be on the correct side, and we're going to have a lot of southern exposure. So I'm going to build that greenhouse into the mountainside. It's going to be bigger, and then we'll get that whole geothermal thing going on. And I know a lot of you guys want to see more of that. What fertilizer do you use? We don't buy any commercial fertilizer except for Miracle Grow, which Lori will use on some of her potted flowers. We don't use any commercial fertilizer in the vegetable garden. All we use is cow manure and compost. That's it. And we never till the compost into the soil. We never till our garden. All the compost goes on top like a blanket. It decomposes. Rain drives all of those nutrients from the decomposing compost into the soil. And then we put on more, and we just keep layering it on top, which you have seen us do. All right. But Miracle Grow is all we use on the potted flowers. What soil mix do I use? I hear that a lot. I don't really even know what you're talking about. I think soil mix is a new trending term for like the modern homesteaders are complicating things. Soil mix. We use dirt that I dig out of the ground over there, and I put manure into it. Compost on top, like I said. What seeds do I use? All right, I don't have a magical solution. There's not a go-to seed that we choose. We buy whatever is in the discount rack. We are looking for a certain variety of tomato or pepper or whatever. I don't care what the brand is. Although, throughout the years, I have always had really, really good success with the NK brand. Now, I have a whole box full of NK here, but I didn't buy them. I'm going to tell you about this in a minute. But again, the brand of the seed makes no difference to me. All right. We use the Ferry Morrison, whatever we can find. Now, a lot of folks have been following my channel for a long time. And when we were living in the New York homestead, I showed you a big pile of seed packets that we had gotten for free. We were at like a home show or there was a show somewhere, and there was like a farming home business that had all outdated seeds in this big box, and they were free because they were all outdated. So we grabbed up a ton of them, and that's what we planted our garden with and had great success. And the following year, we used the same seed. The following year, we used the same seed. I'm still using the same seed. Now, I have bought some. We buy Burpee, we buy Ferry Morse, we buy whatever, wherever we are, because we're looking for a variety that I don't have in my freebies here. But these seeds here, most of them expired in 12/12. Here we go. Expiration date. Sell by 12/12. This is 2021, folks, and we're still going to plant them. But we're not going to be planting them in the soil, in the garden, and then find out that some of them didn't germinate because they're too old. You know that we use those floating seed trays. And a lot of the seed tray plugs that we have, the trays that we have are 128 plugs. So we will take a lot of these expired seeds and plant them in those. Then, within a week or 10 days, you're going to see what germinated and what didn't, and then we'll plant those seedlings in the garden. I wouldn't take the risk of planting outdated seeds in my garden without doing it this way, because otherwise you're just going to wait and you're going to go, oh, I'm going to have to start over again. But with the seed trays, it enables me to just experiment. So that's what we do. Now, this NK brand, I don't know if they still put them in foil packs. I doubt, because you know the way that things go. Everybody goes cheaper all the time. But these NKs were put in foil packs, outdated in 1212, and they are still good. That's awesome. All right. Same with these burpees. These are burpee beats. Sell by 1213. And I'm still going to plant those. All right. Did you can your vegetables? Lori canned a ton of tomatoes, and she did can some tomato zucchini mix, but most of the vegetables were frozen, and all of the squash are stored. And people have asked, where do we store our produce? See this right here? My ice box. Right below my ice box is a cabinet. Now the cabinet isn't kept cold because of the ice box. It's just a cool, dark place. We have a whole bunch of squash in there, and they store wonderfully. So that's where all the squash is. The tomatoes and tomato zucchini mix were canned. We got a ton of that put up, and the rest was frozen. Why didn't you just use recycled windows on the greenhouse and save some money? I wanted to use recycled windows, and I have some recycled windows, and yes, it would have saved me some cash, no doubt about it. But the way that it is here, just with the windows on the camp, birds are always flying into the windows. Most of the time they survive. Occasionally we'll find a dead one out here. Out there in the open, especially when there's snow on the ground, all of the reflection off of that glass, we would find dead birds all over the place on a daily basis. I don't want to see that. The birds give us just as much joy as the greenhouse and the garden does. So, on the birds' behalf, I spent a few bucks and used the corrugated plastic. Birds don't crash into that, and it was worth it. Now, I know there's things you can stick on the glass and all of that, but I didn't want to do that. So, this was good, served the purpose, no dead birds, perfect, worked out great. How do the plants in the greenhouse get pollinated? The stuff that's growing in there does not need to be pollinated. I'm not so sure about the flowers, however, but they're holding their own, and there's a ton of buds out there right now. Things are in bloom. See, even saw more things in bloom today than there was earlier in the week. But the tomatoes, the Swiss chard, the radishes, all the stuff that are growing in there, it just does not need to be pollinated. Although, when the doors are open in the summer and the bees are going in and out, of course that does help the tomato plants, and they will produce more than they do without them. Do you keep a fire burning in there 24 hours a day? That's the plan, okay? I do keep a fire going, but I'm burning my less desirable firewood in the greenhouse. If we get a real cold snap where it stays below zero, I will take some of my better chunks and the big rounds and stoke the stove at night, and that'll burn all night long. But I'm burning the less desirable stuff, kind of punky birch and some softwood, but the fire does go out in the night. Sometimes I go down there in the morning and it's in the 30s in there. But I have learned that the plants are much more tolerant to the cold than I thought they would be. So I just kindle the fire and get it back up to temp. Yep. People ask how much wood I go through. Well, I can't answer that accurately until I'm done burning, and that'll be probably sometime in May. My guesstimate would be I would use maybe 2.5 cords of good, full cords of good firewood. I'm using a bit more than that because I'm burning garbage that burns up quick. But so far so good, as you can see. All right. What is the average temp of the greenhouse? The average temp is 55. Sometimes right now it might get up to 80, 85 during the day, but then drop down to around 35 at night. My average temp, I would guess, would be around 55, but so far so good. The biggest problem I am seeing is what others said I would see, and that is very slow growth on stuff. I'm getting about a day's worth of growth in a week, but it's okay. It's worth it. I have a ball down there, And the lack of growth is because of the lack of daylight. Now, I know people just say, just use grow lights. Well, we have minimal solar here because we are on the wrong side of the slope, and running grow lights off of my minimal solar, it would not be worth it. So we're leaving it as is, and it's working good enough, but the days are getting longer, and I'm already seeing changes in the plants. Every day I am seeing a little bit of change. So we're on the upside now, folks. Is it worth the effort and cost of keeping a fire going? Well, this is all up to your perspectives, because some people have blinders on and they go through life just thinking freaking dollar signs. Okay? I talked about perspectives recently. That didn't go over very good. Wayne Dyer has, I think it's Wayne Dyer that has a quote that says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That goes with everything in life. So is it worth it for me to run down there and keep a fire going? If you're only looking at it on a dollar standpoint, like how much produce I am harvesting versus how much wood I am burning, then no, it's not worth it. But if you look at it by how much enjoyment I am getting out of this, and I have a lifetime supply of firewood, I love cutting firewood, I love doing everything that I am doing, then heck yeah, it is worth it. See what I'm saying? Now I could speak volumes on the subject of perspectives, but I'll save that for another day and another crowd. Alrighty, let me see. I go through here. I think that is it for now, folks. So I am going to wrap this up, get this edited, get it out to you tomorrow, because we're going to head to town tomorrow because I have some art prints to ship out. So I'm going to get them shipped out. And I will be talking about my art probably in the next vlog. People are always asking me, you know, if I still sell my art, and I am just starting to sell my art again, but I'll talk about that in the next video. So, hope that answers all your questions about the greenhouse. A lot of people want to build them, and I can't blame you, because they are awesome. So, that's it, folks. All the best to you. God bless.
Frankie and the boss out walking in the woods, living life happy and free. Tracks in the snow everywhere they go, there's a pokey way up in that tree. A beaver built a pond where they have some fun, taking life a day at a time. Best friends until the end, Frankie and the boss, Frankie and the boss, Frankie and the boss.